Oh, shit.
All right, we are live here at Allegiant Stadium, otherwise known as Arrowhead West, Steve, where
Man, I
the
forgot about that.
yeah, I know where the Chiefs are still undefeated out here in Las Vegas. And of course, they finished the same way they finished last year, Steve, as Super Bowl champions. This time,
Two-time.
the first time in 2 decades that a team has won back-to-back titles, 3 titles in the last last 5 years. And your thoughts on the Chiefs win tonight?
Man, first of all, man, it's crazy how the fact that the way that they were able to do it. The offense didn't play well.
It did not.
I mean, but this defense was able to hold the 49ers, to field goal, touchdown, field goal, and even in overtime. So, it's crazy as well that you get Patrick Mahomes and he's still gonna do Mahomes things at the end of the game. And we talked about that for the past couple of weeks.
Yeah.
You know that when you try to compare these opposing quarterbacks, they always want to go out there and beat Mahomes. They try to go mano a mano, and when it comes down to it and the rubber meets the road, he's still packed.
There were a lot of things tonight that had a scratch on our head, especially when it came to some of the play calling from Kyle Shanahan, especially to start the second half where the Chiefs still were unable to get the ball moving. And instead of them trying to run the football to, kind of control the clock and work in their favor, they just still came out passing. And it worked, and it worked in the Chiefs' defensive favor. Look, in the Chiefs early on, they got them to go 3 and out. They got them to go 3 and out. And what was most crazy about it was that the Chiefs should have gone up on top early, but Isaiah Pacheco fumbled down, kind of turned things away, for the Chiefs. And again, the Chiefs find themselves down 10-0. They scored a field goal right before halftime. They go inside 10-3. And so what was most surprising about this Chiefs offensively in the first half?
The surprising thing was they go down and they couldn't score any points. And I don't know. I was watching the offensive line, and I don't know if it was, the absence of Joe Tooney. I mean, you remember he is a force, right? And so Pat was running around a lot, and Isaiah Pacheco really couldn't. He was met at the line of scrimmage, by Joey Bosa and others. So I think they had to figure it out, and that extra. Because it's Super Bowl, so you get a lot of time during halftime. Probably almost an hour, really. Yeah. So that extra time allowed them to go in, probably watch some film, and see the adjustments that they needed to make, and they were able to make it. But even in third quarter, when they came out, because normally they try to double up, where they win the coin toss, defer, get it, try to score right before halftime, come back out and score again, and they weren't able to do that.
And what's interesting is that we saw this team was playing, and again, it was like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and surprisingly, the amount of points they gave up in the second half. But let's talk about this team on the defense side of football. I mean, it's, I said before the season started that if anybody was going to be the MVP, this team was going to be Steve Spagnuolo. Yeah. And the way that this defense played, when it mattered most, and in overtime, they held. I mean, San Francisco came all the way down, and they were able to, hold them to a field goal. And then for the offense to come marching down to where obviously at worst they kick a field goal, maybe it goes into double overtime, what have you, and or what ended up happening was getting a touchdown to win the ball game. When you see how this defense played this season and when it mattered most, man, what did that say to you?
It said to me, like you said, Steve Spagnuolo, man, he had him ready to play. He's still a head coach. I mean, at the end of the day, he just happens to be a defensive coordinator right now. And I saw it when, we've talked about it all year, but when these guys went out and made shirts that said, "In Spagnuolo we trust."
Yeah.
I mean, that screams volumes to me, because that means that they'll run through a wall for Steve, Coach Spags. And I sat back and thought about that after the AFC Championship game, and I'm like, man, they really love this dude, And we saw Brian Cook go down. We saw Nick Bolton be out, right, a few games. We saw a rookie, Shamari Connor, come in and play lights out. We talked about it earlier today, Leo Chanel. He's playing great. used to Chris Jones beginning of the season. You had him sitting up top in the near us by the press box in the suite, right, with his two agents sitting on both sides, and we didn't know what was going to happen to that. But this defense, they still meshed together. Justin Reed talked about it post game. It's like, man, y'all counted us out against Miami, y'all counted us out each and every game, and we accept that villain role. Yeah. So I mean, it's they talk about defense winning championships, and that's what it was.
When you talked about the Cash brothers, I was in the tunnel with them before the end of the game, and Chris Jones had made two big plays, and the biggest play that he had made ended up getting nullified because of the holding call from Trent McDuffie. Now, I got to ask you, when that play took place on the penalty, do you think all hope was lost?
No, I don't think so. Because I mean, we've seen this team. We've actually scratched our head and against the Buffalo game a year ago with 13 seconds, right? So a couple years ago. So I mean, we were like, man, maybe it's up. And then they come down and score and head to the Super Bowl. So it's like you cannot count this team out until the clock says 0.
Patrick Mahomes wins his 3rd Super Bowl MVP. But even before we get to Pat, Travis Kelce, he was frustrated early on, So I mean, we saw again. I thought he was overly excited on a play where he, kind of manhandled or man tackled Andy Reid. But I guess it was a different scenario, or whatever. But his play tonight, he didn't get into the end zone. Obviously, we know Mahomes tried to get him into the end zone a couple of times. But how did he play tonight to you?
I felt like he played good because, look, Travis demands the respect of other teams.
And he got the attention, too.
He did. And when you think about just how much attention that he gets, it opens up everything else. And then, I mean, we saw him have the little back and forth with Andy, like you talked about during the game. And I think the accountability factor is what matters. And if he's not holding Coach accountable, I mean, sometimes he may get a little fired up, but if he's not holding Coach accountable, who will?
Mahomes, 3-time Super Bowl MVP. We remember the statement that Troy Aikman made. Win 33% of the Super Bowls I have, and then come twice. Now he's 100% of he's 3 for 4 right now. What's to say about Mahomes and his legacy? People try to go me when I said this fourth quarter is all on Mahomes and his legacy. People try, why you say that? Well, you don't want to lose to Brock Purdy. And you've had opportunities because the one time they came down here and they got to like 1st and goal and they got down to the 3-yard line, they should have scored a touchdown. It was second and goal, and for whatever reason, the next 2 plays was just like, it's like, really, this play call, and they settled for a field goal where. I believe I said settle for field goal because they blocked the extra point down here, so they felt like worst come to worst, you can tie it up. I thought they should have just went on and tried to take the lead. That being said, though, Mahomes, the way he played tonight, 2 touchdowns, 333 passing yards, 1 interception. Talk about his play.
I mean, it's mic drop. Really, he did everything that he needed to do. He didn't use his legs at the beginning of the game. We're like, well, maybe you should.
We couldn't figure out what he was doing.
Because that opens up. Travis Kelce commands people, so. Once 57 went down towards Achilles for San Francisco. Green light, that opened up things.
You saw how he tore his
just coming off the sideline.
Just jumping up and down. And
So I really feel like that linebacker crew needed him, right? Because he's a athletic linebacker. He's able to get out and cover. Once he went down, I mean, it opened up a lot, and then Pat was able to, use his legs. But this right here, this win, definitely separates him from the pack. Because you think about this: Lamar Jackson's coming, he doesn't have any. Josh Allen doesn't have any. Joe Burrow doesn't have any. That they got to get 1 first before they can get 3.
Right.
So there's no comparison. He's the best NFL player in the world right now.
The script that folks said that the NFL had, Taylor Swift being here, but of course even before then it was supposed to be Baltimore, in the Niners, but of course Chiefs messed that all up. I gotta ask you, man, we talked about it. Look, we've seen the hills and the valleys of this team this season. I talked to Kelce, I talked to MVS. Look, we know about saying the penalties. The players dropped the wide receivers and tight ends dropping footballs
Yeah.
and stuff, and yeah, obviously record-wise, this is the worst they've been
Yeah.
in the Mahomes Kelsey era thus far, and yet they still made it here and still wanted, they finished it and still won the Super Bowl title. What's that say about this team and how they handle adversity this season?
It's grit. It's all Andy Reid. It really is. I mean, because you hear Clark Hunt talk about not having when they lose games, Andy still shows, still looking forward.
Yeah.
We going on to the next, and that's what they preach. And it's always next man up too. There's a couple of offensive guys. I mean, offensive linemen had issues. The bookends had issues. What did Andy Reid do? All right, we're gonna get you some help. We're gonna run 2 tight end sets to help with the blocking. Even when Travis Kelce wasn't at his best this season, he had 15, 16 yards from being at 1,000.
Yeah.
So even if he was at his best, I'd take that not good Travis Kelce over any other tight end in the league. But they always have the target on their back, and I feel like this team is. I mean, they're world champions, man.
You said, and we've talked about it. If this team were to win, they did win. Whether or not Andy steps down, we both said, why would he? Because you can become the first team to win 3 Super Bowl titles in a row.
Mm-hmm.
How do you, and people like Rob Parker and a few others who say, oh, you're a homer. Well, no, it's not really a homer.
Yep.
When you see a team, you cover a team day to day, and you see how they practice and stuff, and you know the type of metal that these players are made out of. Next season, how do you see this team doing? I mean, they also have to be the favorites.
Yeah. They're definitely the favorites. I saw some come across my phone that they are the favorites to win next year. It's hard to say. It's hard to say who's going to be here next year. If Chris Jones isn't here, how do they move from that? They still need another wide receiver. I mean, you've got to think about that. But then all these guys, MVS comes through at the end of the year. McCole comes through. He fumbled the ball on the 1-yard line. And it seems like he was in the doghouse. But they still have the trust in him, similar to what Sky did last year, man. So I think this team is definitely should be favored next year.
This is the thing that kills me. You have Chiefs fans, members of the Chiefs Kingdom, who lose their grit, especially when it came to MVS. Always, getting on his head and stuff. But like I said last year and this year, you don't win the Super Bowl without his play.
You don't.
I mean, now I don't know whether or not that brings him back next year.
Nah, it doesn't.
But at the end of the day, you don't win these 2 Super Bowl titles without him. And really, you don't win a Super Bowl without McCole either.
I mean,
McCole,
That was, what was that? That was second down that he caught that?
I don't know. All I know it was game and blouses.
Yeah.
When it all matters most.
Yeah. Actually, no. It was 1st and 3 because I said y'all got 4 opportunities.
Yes.
It was 1st and 3 on the 3-yard line. Yeah. So I mean, you had 4 opportunities to get in. And the first one didn't work, but 1st and 3.
Man, Steve, I mean, we've done it again, man. I mean, we've covered another Super Bowl victory for the Kansas City Chiefs, and
that's right.
I guess we have to do it again next year, man.
Facts.
All right, so make sure you join us for the Red Hour. I think we're going to do Tuesday night now?
Tuesday night. Yep, we do Tuesday night.
Tuesday night, and of course, we'll be at the parade. Man, I guess I got to show up for the parade this time.
On Wednesday, yeah. You don't have to. If it's going to continue to be back-to-back, you stay where do what you did last year.
No. I'm going to show up this time around. Yeah. I didn't realize I didn't have to fight through the crowd, so I'm going to show up this time around. But for Steve Walls, I'm Darren Smith, bringing you live coverage from the field. Hold on. I got this for you Raider fans out there. How does it feel to know that the Chiefs won the Super Bowl in your stadium and celebrated smoking cigars and spilling champagne in your locker room?
I got some champagne on my suit too.
I'm just saying. How does it? Hold on. Look at. You've got to deal with that. You've got to deal with that right now. You know what I'm saying? My man Steve out there looking clean out here. I mean, we just doing it. Super Bowl champions, Kansas City. Nothing about the Niners. Ain't no Niner gang up in this piece. So we out of here just celebrating one last time. Kansas City Chiefs win another Super Bowl back-to-back. Once again, we out of here.